You are listening to Sales Optex. Visit us at salesoptex.com.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are getting into something big, how AI is really fundamentally reshaping the engine room of sales, that's sales operations, or RevOps. We've pulled together some great material for you, a really dynamic panel discussion with top revenue leaders, and we've paired that with a bunch of 2025 trend reports on AI in sales. So our mission here is to pull out the most important nuggets, focusing on the real, quantifiable gains for everyone, from the rep on the ground to the managers. We want to get clear on what AI is doing now and what this next thing, Agentic AI, is all about. Okay, let's unpack this.
I think it's so important to start with the why, right? Why RevOps?
Exactly.
The sources all point to the same thing. RevOps is the perfect proving ground because it's where people, process, and tech all crash together. It's where bad data creates friction that just cascades to the whole company.
And if you can solve that friction,
You get huge scalable returns. And look, this isn't some, far-off future thing. The data we saw is pretty shocking. Early AI deployments have already boosted win rates by more than 30%.
30%. That's not a small number.
It's massive. It tells you AI isn't just a pile program anymore. It's becoming foundational.
Okay, a 30% lift is a game changer. And that kind of transformation has to start somewhere, right? Usually on the front lines. So let's start with the sales reps, because that's where the pain is most obvious.
Oh, it really is. The administrative burden is just crushing.
Yeah.
I mean, the reports we looked at, they all highlight this one staggering stat. Sellers only spend about 25% of their time actually selling.
Just a quarter of their time.
Yeah, think about that. You hire these smart, persuasive people, and 3/4 of their week is just admin, updating the CRM, data entry, all that stuff.
And that inefficiency is exactly where AI can make its first biggest impact. If you can just automate that non-selling junk.
You're not just making a small improvement. You could effectively double the amount of time a rep spends selling.
Without hiring a single new person.
Yeah. Exactly. Turning 25% into 50% selling time. That's probably the biggest productivity jump we've seen from any tool in decades.
So give me a concrete example. What's a task AI takes over that an account executive actually cares about on, a Tuesday morning?
Okay, so the biggest one is call summaries. It starts there. But now these tools are becoming like fully autonomous agents.
What does that mean?
We saw a case where the AI agent doesn't just transcribe the call, it listens, understands the context, and then automatically creates all the follow-up tasks for the rep in their Google Tasks or Outlook for the next day. It basically dictates their to-do list based on the conversation.
Wow. So just by having a normal customer call, the rep has automated all their admin work from that meeting.
Pretty much.
But that brings up a really important question, something that came up in the panel discussion. If I'm a rep, why would I use my company's clunky internal AI tool instead of just, opening a tab and using ChatGPT?
That's the whole adoption challenge right there. That's the magical moment they talked about. If the internal tool is a pain to use, they won't. Period.
So the bar is really high.
The bar is incredibly high. The AI has to be so integrated into their actual workflow right there in the CRM or Slack that using it is just faster than anything else. And it has to be a win-win.
A win for the rep and a win for the company.
Exactly. The AI doesn't just draft an email for the rep. It's smart. It simultaneously flags key qualification criteria from the call for the company's records. It actually knows your sales playbook.
Like what specifically? You see all these acronyms flying around.
Right, like MEDDIC or BANT. These are just frameworks to figure out if a buyer is serious, do they have budget, authority, a real need. The AI can listen for the strength of those signals, not just check a box that says budget discussed.
So the CRM stops being a chore and starts being intelligent.
A genuinely intelligent asset, yeah.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because now we're relying on a machine to input critical data. And all the sources were really clear. You can't just trust it blindly. There are risks.
Absolutely. The rule that came up again and again was trust but verify. Every company has to decide what its risk tolerance is. Which fields are low risk, where 90% accuracy is good enough.
Like an internal note or something?
Right. Versus the high-risk fields where you need a human to sign off.
And what's a high-risk field?
Oh, anything that touches the forecast. Or pricing. Or contract terms. I mean, imagine the AI hallucinates a price discount that was never actually offered. That's a huge problem.
That's a disaster.
Yeah, and that's why this human-in-the-loop workflow is just non-negotiable for that critical data.
So walk me through what that looks like in practice.
It's actually super simple, but really effective. After a call, The AI drafts its summary and notes. But before anything goes into the CRM, it sends that draft over Slack or Teams to the rep who was on the call. The rep just takes 10 seconds, reads it, gives it a thumbs up emoji to confirm it's accurate, and then, and only then, does the data get pushed to the CRM. It's a tiny step that basically eliminates the risk of bad data.
So if the reps are getting this clean, verified data, that quality has to flow uphill. That must totally change the sales manager's job.
Oh, it's even more transformative for the manager than for the rep, arguably. I mean, think about the old 30-minute one-on-one.
The status update meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The manager spent 20 minutes just trying to get the real story. They were like data police, asking, did you update the notes? What are the next steps? Is this forecast real?
All operational questions, not strategic coaching.
Right. Now, with clean, objective data that's already in the system, the whole 30 minutes can be spent on strategy, on coaching, on how to win the deal. The manager goes from being a data cop to a real strategic coach.
That is a total redefinition of what a good manager does.
It is. And what's really fascinating is that the coaching becomes standardized and scaled. It's based on 100% of the data, not just, the 15 calls a manager happened to have time to listen to last month.
So it's quantitative. It's not just guesswork anymore.
Totally. A manager can actually score a rep's skills against a playbook. For example, if a rep is struggling to identify the economic buyer, the AI can score them a 2.6 out of 5 on that skill across their last 20 deals.
Wow.
And that immediately focuses the coaching. The manager can say, let's work on this one thing, and even pull up time-stamped examples from calls where the rep missed their chance.
Which not only helps the rep, it makes sure all managers are coaching to the same high standard. This brings us to that new use case they mentioned, using AI to coach the coach.
That's right. The system can auto-generate a prep sheet for the manager's one-on-one. It'll say, okay, this rep is ahead of goal, but these 3 big deals have low deal health scores. And here are 2 calls from last week where they struggled with negotiation. Focus there. It just raises the quality of management across the board.
And that same intelligence can be applied to the whole pipeline, right? To help managers prioritize deals.
It's through what they call deal health scores.
Yeah.
It's a score, maybe out of 100, that layers your sales methodology like MEDDIC with your company's own custom risk factors.
For instance,
maybe your data shows that if a customer mentions your main competitor more than 3 times on a call, the deal is at high risk. The AI flags that automatically.
it's like an early warning system.
Exactly. It's a stress test for the forecast. If a rep says a huge deal is a sure thing, but the AI scores it a 35 out of 100, that forces a real conversation. The manager has to dig in and validate the rep's optimism against the data.
Which gets around that leadership fear of relying too much on AI. You're not letting the AI run the forecast call.
No, not at all. You're just arming the human manager with the best possible diagnostic data. It's an added layer of visibility, a prompt for a conversation. It makes sure human judgment starts from reality, not just a gut feeling.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. When you take all this high-quality, verified data from every single customer interaction and you aggregate it, you must unlock some pretty powerful strategic insights. This goes way beyond just sales execution.
It really does. It's about corporate strategy. Historically, the voice of the customer was, a bit of a mess.
It was whoever shouted the loudest.
Pretty much, the loudest rep in the room. Or some internal committee with his own biases. Now, AI gives you objective insights at scale because it analyzes every call, every email, all of it.
So what are the immediate practical benefits for leadership?
They get 3 things fast. First, they learn the top objections, ranked by frequency across all their lost deals. Second, they get real competitor analysis. Are we losing on price, on a specific feature? The data tells you exactly why.
And the third,
Instant product feedback. You can do sentiment analysis on a new feature you just rolled out and share that data directly with the product team. It dramatically shortens the time it takes to react to what the market is actually telling you.
Now, to really get where this is all going, we need to understand how the AI itself is evolving. The sources laid out a few phases. We've moved past basic predictive AI, like lead scoring, and now we're in the age of generative AI.
Right. Generative AI has been the big story lately. You can think of it as the creative layer. It's what creates new content. Writing a smart email, summarizing a call, drafting a proposal based on all the context it has learned. It's a huge time saver.
So if generative AI is the creator, what's the big deal about this next wave, Agentic AI?
Agentic AI is the next frontier, as one report put it. It's the orchestrator. See, generative AI waits for you to give it a prompt.
Write me an email.
Exactly. An agentic system is autonomous. It can plan, act, learn, and even change its own plan to achieve a goal without you telling it what to do step by step. It's like a digital team member that has its own goals.
Can you break that down in a sales context? What's the real difference?
Okay, so generative AI will write a perfect follow-up email if you ask it to. And agentic AI is the system that decides, on its own, this prospect hasn't booked a meeting after 4 emails, so I am going to autonomously switch the outreach to LinkedIn, write a personalized message for that platform, monitor if they click the link, and if they do, I'll immediately create a high-priority task for this sales rep to call them within the next 5 minutes.
Whoa. So it's managing the whole workflow by itself.
The entire complex multi-step workflow. It's self-directing toward the goal, whether that's book a meeting or close the deal.
So the future is really the fusion of these two things.
100%. Generative systems create the personalized content, the what to say. Agentic systems then execute the workflow, the when and how to act. That's how you get to a fully intelligent sales ecosystem.
And that incredible potential is driving this massive adoption surge we're seeing, right? The pressure is on.
The pilot phase is definitely over. The data show that 56% of sales pros are using AI daily now, and rep adoption specifically shot up 79% in just 1 year.
And that's not just reps finding new tools. This is top down.
It is. The report said 87% of sales leaders are getting direct pressure from their CEO and their board to deploy generative AI. The gap between the companies that adopt and the ones that wait is just getting wider faster.
But just because there's pressure doesn't mean it's easy. We talked about data quality, and the sources were crystal clear. The number one thing that kills ROI is fragmented, messy data.
It's the classic garbage in, garbage out. If your data is a mess, you're just feeding garbage into a very expensive AI model and expecting gold.
It's not going to work.
It never works.
Yeah.
So the best practice is to be really focused. Map your whole sales process, but then pick just 1 or 2 high-impact things to automate first. Nail your forecasting accuracy or your lead generation before you try to boil the ocean.
We should also probably bust the myth that this is only for giant companies with huge budgets.
Yeah, that narrative is completely dead. AI has been democratized. You can get these tools embedded right in your CRM for as little as like $15 to $50 per user per month.
That's incredibly accessible.
It is. It's why 75% of small and mid-sized businesses have already invested in AI. Enterprise-level tech is now available to everyone.
That's a huge point. Let's circle back quickly to the risks. With generative AI creating such realistic content, what kind of governance do you need in place?
The risk of hallucinations, where the AI just makes stuff up, is very real. And you cannot have that happening in client-facing documents. So for anything high risk, like a proposal or a contract, human verification has to be mandatory. It's non-negotiable.
And this need for oversight is actually creating new jobs, new teams inside these companies.
Yes, that's a big trend. We're seeing the rise of generative AI operations teams, or AI ops. By 2025, 1/3 of chief revenue officers are expected to have a team like this just to manage prompt engineering, check for accuracy, and handle compliance.
Which covers the ethical side of things too, right? Compliance with GDPR, CCPA, and actively working to avoid bias in the algorithms.
Exactly. Transparency and compliance are now a core part of RevOps.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. The core transformation that you, the listener, need to grasp is that AI is providing this incredible precision and scale across the entire sales org. Reps get their time back, managers become tree coaches, and leadership gets strategic insights they've never had before.
Right. AI is handling the mechanics of selling. One of the predictions was that by 2027, manual research will be basically dead. 95% of a seller's research workflow will just start with AI.
So the whole value of the human seller is shifting.
Completely. If AI is managing prospecting, scheduling, data entry, research, all of that mechanical work, then your competitive edge can't be about being efficient anymore. It has to come from somewhere else. It has to come from those uniquely human skills.
So that leads us to the final thought we want to leave you with.
Yeah, the question to really mull over is this. If AI is going to automate all the administrative and research workflows, what new, uniquely human skill must you prioritize learning today to stay essential, to stay ahead in the future of selling?
That partnership between intelligent systems and human strategy is where all the value is going to be. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope this gave you what you need to be ready for the next era of revenue operations.